Hi guys, this is Oliver Colson, probably the coolest cancer patient in the world. So about 12 years ago, I got diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, went through treatment, was about 10 years in remission, had a pretty good life, did a lot, had a lot of fun. Had a really good job, a lot of great friends. So that stroke was on June 16. This note is dated August 4, 2018, 6:30 in the morning. And I was on a lot of steroids and stuff, dealing with brain shrinking or brain swelling, and it was keeping me up. But I was like, what kind of things could I do? It's like my story's kind of fun. I'd make a good keynote speaker. So this was a little bit of a resume, a little bit of a entertainment piece. So for my resume, I work diligently to make the world a better place, and I encourage others to do the same. It's a good place, but we all know it could be a lot better. I beat cancer 3 times so far in my life, which this might actually be outdated because I beat it in my shoulder, my lungs, and my brain. So this is definitely outdated because I also did some radiation in my spine. The first time I had cancer, we didn't have Facebook or any of that good stuff. So there's a Microsoft .doc document that is Cancer Journal Volume 2. Whoever finds it could probably make at least $20. With this round of cancer, switched to Cancer Journal Volume 2 on Facebook. That's been a very entertaining series of articles for people to read. When I wrote this, I said I probably had a bad day one time, but I don't remember when. Unfortunately, since then, I know I've had a couple bad days. After the stroke, when I got to the Rehab Institute in St. Louis, it took 3 people to help me stand, and that was a really loose definition of the word stand. But I like to do things, so I learned to walk in 4 days. Probably wasn't that fun, but I was up and walking with a walker. Then I had brain surgery in less than 2 weeks. I don't think I got a buy one, get one free deal, despite asking. Does anybody know how much a platypus weighs? They kind of look about the same time as a beaver, but they're definitely a little bit smaller. I know how to drive a manual transmission. I take my pride in that. I judge people who drive Jeeps with automatic transmissions, even though I really want one of those foot pegs that stick out the door to get the extra air conditioning driving down the road. I kicked butt in college, and I was a really good intern, basically just to avoid a hard interview for a real job. They've kept me employed my entire career, which is 12 plus years.
Who's they?
They is Tarleton Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Dirk and Tracy are some of the best people in the world. They've kept me employed my entire career, and I can even still get into the office, despite the fact that I've been on disability for 2 years. They normally bribe me with food. I have some of the best dogs in the country. Janie, my Labrador, the night that I had my stroke, helped me find my phone. I've got a command for that's taught out of pure laziness. That's find my phone. It's just in case I knock my phone on the nightstand. under the bed in the middle of the night, or if I leave it in the other room and I'm just too lazy to get it. So the night I was having the stroke, I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was just a bad headache. I told her to find my phone. I could hear her scurrying through the house. Little did I realize she had my phone in my hand and was just nudging it in my hand to try to get me to take it. Eventually, I was able to call my parents for help, get to the emergency room. I have some of the best dogs in the country. Like I said, that's Janie. She's been in the national rankings for Rally for several years. Unfortunately, my good buddy, Bob Fulham, is probably beating her out because I think he's going to have the first rock dog ever. I know a lot of random things about a lot of random stuff. I scored really high on the ACT in high school. My courage GPA was really high, but I also got suspended a lot because I never underestimated the value of having fun. I'm a registered voter just because I think you're supposed to be. I'm a proud member of the Rumblind Retrievers family. Rumblind Retrievers are some of the most amazing Labradors ever. Carly, aka Mississippi Queen, Rumblind Retrievers Mississippi Queen, is my puppy. She's about 10 months old, and I'm hoping she does everything I ever wanted. I've had a couple hard hats for work. They pretty well all have cool stickers on them. I'm a great storyteller. Normally I'm more awake than this. I'm really good at winging it, which has helped me through a lot of situations in life. But if you know your shit in the background, it's a lot easier to do that. I've got a very eclectic music taste, and I definitely don't fit into one certain genre. My good friend Cletus has gotten me to use words like rudimentary way more often in my common speech. I keep my emergency medical information in my wallet and on my iPhone, just in case it's ever needed. It's been needed a few times lately. I own a whole bunch of nice suits, but I try not to ever wear them. But I own an awesome stash of cool socks because nobody likes old man socks. I've got to work on some really cool big construction projects in my lifetime. Mechanical Dynamics and Analysis is the largest non-OEM high-speed balance facility to be built in the U.S. and maybe the world in a way long time. It can spin a 90-ton capacity piece of industrial equipment at 3,600 RPM. Right when I was out of college, I got to work on the MSD Lime wastewater treatment plant. It's the second largest in St. Louis. We got to do a 96-inch hot tap, which is basically the equivalent of trying to connect your little half-inch garden hose onto the spigot in the summer. But this is 96 inches in diameter rather than 1/2. As part of that, we got to do an installation of a 132-inch diameter pipe, which is some of the biggest in the country, and a 144-inch precast concrete pipe. You can drive a full-size pickup truck through that stuff. One of my biggest accomplishments on that job was that Chuck Odenwald, the ironworker superintendent, didn't kill me because I was dumb and naive, and Chuck was not. And Chuck was angry, but he was fun to work with. I got to move from there to the U.S. Corps of Engineers Lock 27. It's the busiest lock on the Mississippi River system. From there, I got to go to a whole bunch of Ameren projects. People have safe, reliable power. Cal stayed safe. Somewhere in all that, I got to do a once-in-a-lifetime project at 1400 Poplar. That's 1400 Poplar in Highland, Illinois. It was built in 1910, and it still looks like it, but it's as modern as they come. I luckily sold that house and bought the house that I live in now. It's 2725 Cliff Drive. Still in the progress of building the garage, and hopefully in the next couple weeks and months, my buddies and friends and brother will get that done for me. It has 3 unique training fields just for my dogs. One is for obedience and agility. One will just be a rompus field, and then one will be set up for tracking and search and rescue training. Despite all the hard work, I've also felt the need that you should always be a part of your community. Once I got done with cancer treatment the first time, I was a volunteer at Siteman Cancer Center, which is where I still get treated today. Part of my love for doing stuff with Bowie was that he liked to make people happy. So Bowie and I were a therapy dog team at the Veterans Affairs Hospital and St. Elizabeth's Hospital. Little did we ever know that shortly after those visits, I would have a stroke on my own, and Bowie and I would be the one using equipment at a place like that, learning how to walk. Vehicles are a fun part of my life, and I've had some fun ones and some boring ones. So probably some that I haven't remembered, probably some that I forgot about or didn't tell my parents about. But my first truck was a 1984 Chevy K20 four-wheel drive pickup truck. It had a 6-inch lift plus a little more, and maybe a little bit more after that. Then I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee that was super nice inside so that I could keep one nice vehicle and maybe go out on a few dates. Then I had a Ford Ranger because everybody else in the world did. Then I had a Dodge Intrepid because it looked neat and it went fast. But after I tore the shit out of it, I bought a Chevy Malibu. It was way too fast for me. There's no reason I needed a car that could go 140 miles an hour before you actually emerged onto the interstate. But hey, if you can do it, make it work. Sometime over the years, I bought a Lincoln Continental Town Car. It was the one with 4 really long doors and the opera windows behind the 4th long door. It was longer than my F-250 with an 8-foot long bed. Right now, I've got a 2013 F-150 that I mainly use to haul the dogs around. I've got a 2003 Jeep TJ, and it has the appropriate amount of pedals and is really cool. Unfortunately, you can only drive on a crappy clutch before you have to deal with it. So my best friend Emily is going to help me deal with that. So that whenever I'm healed up from this and better, I can have an actual working, moving thing that doesn't pop out of gear every half mile. A year or so ago, I decided to build a Showtel. It's a camper setup just for taking the dog shows. It's the most amazing thing in the world. Like any good resume, because this is essentially what this is, I've included some references. There would be my mom, because that always gets people's serious attention. There would be Dirk Elsperman, who's the Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer of Tarleton. Nancy Valentine, who just recently retired from the AGC, who was my mentor through the Construction Leadership Council. In order to help be a better fundraiser for the world, This resume be printed and distributed on Comic Sans font with proof of a donation to one of the following charities: First Descents, STL Race to Cure Sarcoma. There's also a Tarleton resume out there for me that has some cool stuff on there. If you're thinking about hiring me to be a keynote speaker, I prefer to fly with Southwest Airlines because they're most convenient. My favorite steak is a ribeye cooked medium rare, served with the loaded baked potato. I need chocolate and soda for basic survival. If you were going to do a slideshow with this, I would suggest including some things like my dogs, construction pictures from some of the approved projects, which the Tarleton people could help you get, my high school senior picture, because that would be funny, pictures from cancer stuff I've had over the years, fancy dinner silverware, dishes layout guide to have on the table, because keynote speakers type dinners always gets people confused. And then, of course, you would need to have intro skit running with the Chris Farley that you're probably going to be living in a van down by the river. If you wanted some intro sound, you could do Eminem's Rap God, even though it's not appropriate, or Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. That's about the end of my resume.
So what's your wish?
So, a friend of mine that I just met a few weeks ago through a mutual friend from college introduced me to Three Little Birds and said, "Hey, I know that you don't want wishes, and I know you don't want handouts." Suzanne told me that, but she also said that you've been begging to steal her Jeep since you guys were still in college together. So I always kept my Jeep pretty plain Jane, much like everything else in my life. But what would make the Jeep cool, not only getting, the clutch fixed, but would be a mild lift, just enough to clear 33s or 35s. And then I put on a cool back bumper, but I never got the front bumper to match. And I don't think I ever actually connected all the bolts for the back bumper. So maybe doing the front bumper that matches the rear bumper, 33 to 35 inch tires. And then I don't like shiny things, so anything that's chrome on the Jeep, getting rid of it, and then sprucing up to make it look good. The running water and leaving it out in the rain definitely didn't help the radio. So maybe a radio that you can hear over 40 miles an hour would be really cool too.
And when you get it all souped up, where are you going to go in your new Jeep?
Out on a lot of trail rides with my friends from 618 Jeeps. It's been an awesome group of people. I kind of met them just by happenstance, and on a couple different occasions. She said, "Hey, does anybody want to go for a ride today?" And I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. Michelle and her family and her friends did a little pop-up ride. We went down the bluffs, across the bridge down into, I think, Perryville, Missouri, which, by the way, my license plate might still be in the bottom of that river. But Emily did order a new one, so I think I might have a new one. But going on a lot of Jeep rides. I'll have to learn how to walk and talk again after this. But when I was in the rehab hospital the first time, I was getting really good at working that left foot.
Heck yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Stay strong. Beat cancer.